Before you get started planning out your Axis cable railing system, it's important for you to have a good understanding of what the components in the system do and also how and when they're going to be used. That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We've got a lot of awesome cable railing videos that will help you out with your next project. Creating a cable railing system for your deck, balcony, or staircase is going to require a combination of two different types of components: end-stop components and then tensioning components. End-stop components are going to hold your cable in place at one end of the cable run, whereas a tensioning component is of course going to tension your cable for that cable run. Within the Axis system, there are two different classifications of tensioning and end-stop fittings. There are straight tensioners and end stops, and then pivot tensioners and end stops. Axis straight components are going to be used for exactly what it sounds like. Axis straight tensioners and end stops are going to be used in post scenarios whenever your cable is needing to run straight at your post. On the other hand, Axis pivot components are going to do the exact opposite of the straight components. You're going to use Axis pivot tensioners and end stops whenever your cable needs to run at an angle at your post. And just like the straight components, you're going to be installing the Axis pivot end stop and tensioner with stainless steel decking screws, which makes installing them a breeze. So the main difference between Axis straight and pivot style components is going to be what we call the Axis receiver. Now, they look really similar whenever they're installed, but they actually are going to serve two different purposes. So the Axis straight receiver is pretty simple, and basically it's going to secure to your post with a stainless steel decking screw that's going to go through the receiver, and that's going to then secure to your post. The Axis straight receiver has just a hole that's going to be threaded, and so for your end of your tensioning fitting and also for the little bitty swage stud at the other end of your cable, they're just going to thread right into the receiver, and that fitting has no other choice but to run completely straight out of the receiver. Now with your Axis pivot receiver, it's going to be different from the straight receiver since it's got a slot that's cut in it. Now what that slot is going to enable you to do is orient the receiver either up or down or left or right, so your fitting can then pivot up or down or left or right. Now your fitting, whether it's your tensioning fitting or it's going to be your end stop fitting, is going to secure into this receiver with what we call the pivot eye. So this pivot eye is just going to go right into the receiver, and then it's going to be held in place with this pivot eye retaining pin. And once that pin is in, the fitting can actually rotate and move up or down, left or right, up to 180 degrees. At this point, you should have a pretty good understanding of what the components in the Axis system do, and now you can apply that knowledge to actually planning out your cable railing system. If you have any other questions, make sure to drop us a comment, and if you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a like. I'm Tyler with Haas Stainless. Thanks for watching.